The street was loud, but she was silent. Cars moved fast. Lights flashed. People walked past without looking down. On the cold sidewalk, near a broken wall, a homeless black woman sat alone. Her clothes were old. Her shoes were worn. To the world, she was invisible. Most people did not know her name. Most people did not care. She watched feet pass by. Clean shoes. Shiny shoes. Expensive shoes. None of them stopped. She kept her head down, but her ears were always open. The street had taught her one thing very well. Listen first. Speak last. Across the road, a black car stopped. A man stepped out. He was old, but strong. His back was straight. His walk was steady. He wore a clean coat and polished shoes. People noticed him. Some looked twice. Then suddenly, the man slowed down. He placed one hand on his chest. His face turned pale. His breath became heavy. And then, he fell. Hard. People stopped walking. Someone laughed and said, "He's drunk." Someone else said, "Not my problem." A few people pulled out their phones, but no one helped. The homeless woman looked up. Her eyes locked on the man. Something felt wrong. She stood up slowly. That was when she heard it. Two men stood near the black car. They spoke softly, too softly for others to hear, but not for her. One man said, "He shouldn't have come alone." The other replied, "He talks too much. Tonight, it ends." Her heart stopped. She looked at the old man on the ground, then back at the two men. They were not helping. They were watching, waiting. The homeless woman did not think. She did not plan. She moved. People stared as she crossed the street. Some shook their heads. Some whispered, "Stay away." She ignored them. She kneeled beside the old man. His eyes were open now, confused, weak. He tried to speak. She leaned close to his ear. Her voice was low, firm, clear. She said only two words. "Don't speak." The man froze. He looked at her, really looked at her. There was fear in her eyes, and truth. Sirens echoed in the distance. Someone finally called for help. The two men near the car stepped back. One of them pulled out a phone. The homeless woman stood up quickly. She walked away, fast, silent. Before anyone could stop her, she disappeared into the crowd. Minutes later, an ambulance arrived. Police followed. The old man was lifted onto a stretcher. Doctors asked questions. "Sir, can you hear me? Sir, what's your name?" The man opened his mouth. Then he remembered her face, her voice, her warning. He closed his mouth. The doctors looked confused. At the hospital, everything changed. Security guards filled the hallway. Men in suits arrived. Phones rang non-stop. A doctor whispered, "Is not just anyone." Inside the room, machines beeped softly. The old man lay still, eyes open. A general's badge sat on the table. He was a 4-star general, one of the most powerful men in the country. A man in a dark suit leaned close and asked quietly, "Did he say anything before he collapsed?" The general looked at the ceiling. He saw the street, the cold sidewalk, the homeless woman, and the two men watching him die. Slowly, he shook his head. "No," he said. He said nothing. Outside, on the same street, the homeless woman sat in the shadows again. Her heart was still racing. She knew one thing. Tonight was not over, and whatever she heard was big enough to kill for. The room was too quiet. Machines made soft sounds. Lights stayed low. Two guards stood outside the door without moving. The old man lay on the bed. His eyes were open, but his body felt heavy. He could hear voices, but they felt far away. A nurse leaned close. "Sir, can you hear me?" He could, very clearly, but he said nothing. He remembered the street, the cold ground, the pain in his chest, and then, her face. Not the faces of the people who walked past him. Not the faces of the men who watched him fall. The homeless black woman. Her eyes were sharp. Her voice was calm. Her warning was clear. "Don't speak." The nurse stepped back. She looked worried. A doctor entered the room. Then another man followed him. This man wore a dark suit. No badge. No name tag. But everyone made space for him. He stood near the bed and watched the old man closely, like he was waiting for something. The doctor cleared his throat. He collapsed on the street. Heart stress. We are still checking. The man in the suit nodded slowly. Then he leaned closer. Did he say anything? The man asked. The old man turned his head slightly. He looked at the window. Outside, the city lights blinked. No, he said softly. I didn't say anything. The man in the suit smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. Good, he said. Rest now. When the man left, the guard stayed. The old man closed his eyes. He was not just tired. He was thinking. His real name was not known to the public. To the world, he was called General Marcus Hale. 4 stars. 40 years of service. Wars fought. Orders given. Men listened when he spoke. That was the problem. For weeks, he had felt watched. Phones clicked. Meetings ended early. Some files disappeared. Some questions went unanswered. And that night, he had decided to walk alone. No driver. No guards. He wanted fresh air. He wanted to think. That was his mistake. Back in the hospital, the door opened again. This time, it was a young officer. His uniform was perfect. His eyes were nervous. Sir, the officer whispered, your badge. He placed a small box on the table. Inside, 4 silver stars shined. The general stared at them. He had earned them with blood and time. But now, they felt heavy. Has anyone asked about the woman? The general asked quietly. The officer froze. What woman, sir? The woman from the street, the general said. The one who warned me. The officer shook his head. No one reported a woman. CCTV footage is missing. The general's heart beat faster. Missing. The officer lowered his voice. So, someone deleted it. Silence filled the room. The general understood. This was not an accident. This was not sickness. This was a warning. Across the city, the homeless woman washed her hands in a public bathroom. The water was cold. Her fingers shook. She saw his face in her mind. The fear. The trust. She knew she had crossed a line. She had heard many things on the street. Drug deals. Fights. Lies. But never this. Never men talking about ending a life like it meant nothing. She pulled the hood low and stepped back outside. A police car passed slowly. She turned away. Back in the hospital, another visitor arrived. This one wore a military uniform. High rank. He saluted the general. So, he said, we will increase security. The general studied his face. Who ordered it? The general asked. The man paused. Higher command, sir. The general closed his eyes. Higher command. The street woman's words echoed again. Don't speak. He opened his eyes and spoke carefully. Find the woman, he said. But do not tell anyone. The officer nodded. Outside the room, the man in the dark suit listened from the hallway. And he smiled again. The night grew colder. The homeless black woman walked fast, keeping her head low. Street lights passed over her face, one by one. For a moment, each light showed who she was. Then the darkness hid her again. She liked the darkness. It kept her safe. She stopped near an old bus station and sat on a bench. Her hands were still shaking. Not from the cold. From memory. Her name was Lena. Once, people said her name with respect. Once, they called her Miss Lena. Once, they trusted her. A long time ago, Lena wore clean clothes. She woke up early. She worked hard. She used to help people. She remembered a small house with yellow walls. A kitchen that smelled like coffee. A job where people thanked her at the end of the day. She was a caregiver at a city hospital. She cleaned wounds. She held hands. She listened when patients cried. She was good at listening. One night, she heard something she was not supposed to hear. 2 doctors talking in a hallway. Low voices. Angry voices. They spoke about fake reports. Missing money. A patient who died too fast. Lena stood still, holding a tray. They did not see her, but she heard everything. The next day, everything changed. She was called into an office. A man in a suit asked questions. The doctors sat quietly. They said she lied. They said she made mistakes. They said she was the problem. Lena tried to explain, but no one listened. She lost a job, then her home, then her friends. The world moved on without her. The street became her teacher. On the street, Lena learned new rules. Do not trust fast smiles. Do not speak too much. And always listen. She learned how people talked when they thought no one mattered. She learned how danger sounded. That was why her body reacted before her mind that night. That was why she heard the whisper. That was why she knew it was real. A police siren wailed nearby. Lena stood up fast. She crossed the street and blended into a group of people. She walked until her legs hurt. Finally, she stopped near a small park and sat on the ground. She pulled her coat tight. Her thoughts raced. She had warned the old man. A powerful man. That meant trouble. She closed her eyes. She saw his face again. How he looked at her when she said, "Don't speak." He believed her. That scared her the most. Across the city, in a quiet hospital room, the general stared at the ceiling. He could not sleep. Every sound felt louder now. Every shadow felt wrong. He remembered her eyes. Not fear like a victim. Fear like someone who understood danger. He pressed the call button. A young officer entered. "Sir." The general spoke slowly. "People think the street is loud," he said. "But the real danger is in quiet places." The officer nodded, not fully understanding. "Find her," the general said, "and protect her." "Yes, sir." But outside the room, someone else listened. That same man in the dark suit stood near the stairs. Phone in hand. "They are looking for her," he said quietly. "Move faster." Back in the park, Lena felt something was wrong. Her chest tightened. The street felt different. She opened her eyes. Across the park, a man stood near a tree. Too still. Watching. Lena stood up and walked away. The man followed. Not close. Not far. Enough to scare her. She turned a corner. Then another. Her breath grew heavy. Finally, she ducked into a closed store entrance and waited. Her heart pounded. The man walked past. She stayed still. After a long moment, she whispered to herself, "You survived worse." She knew one thing now. She could not run forever, and the truth she heard on the street was bigger than her. The hospital no longer felt safe. General Marcus Hale lay still in his bed, but his mind was wide awake. Every sound had meaning now. Every footstep outside his door felt planned. The monitors beeped in a steady rhythm. Too steady. He turned his head slightly and watched the door. 2 guards stood outside, but they were not his men. That bothered him. A nurse entered the room with a soft smile. She checked the machines and asked, "How are you feeling, sir?" "I'm fine," the general said. She nodded and left, but something stayed behind. A feeling. Minutes later, the door opened again. This time, no smile. The man in the dark suit stepped inside. He closed the door gently behind him. "General," the man said. "Glad to see you awake." The general studied his face. He had seen it before. In meetings. In places where power decided things quietly. "What do you want?" the general asked. The man smiled thinly. "We want the same thing," he said. "Peace." The general almost laughed. "Peace doesn't come from silence," the general replied. The man's smile faded. "Careful," the man said. "Words can be dangerous." The general remembered the street. The cold ground. The whisper. "Don't speak." He said nothing. The man stepped closer. "You were working on some files," he continued. "Sensitive files." "They are safe," the general lied. The man tilted his head. "Are they?" Outside the room, a junior officer stood frozen. He had heard everything. The man in the suit turned suddenly. "Is there a problem?" he asked. "No, sir," the officer said quickly. The man nodded and walked out. The general exhaled slowly. The officer stepped inside and locked the door. "Sir," he whispered, "they are watching you." "I know," the general replied. "That's why we move quietly." Across town, Lena watched her reflection in a dark shop window. She barely recognized herself. Her eyes were sharper now. Harder. She walked into a small soup kitchen before it closed. The volunteer handed her a bowl without asking questions. Lena sat in the corner. 2 men sat near the door, pretending to eat. They did not speak. They did not look hungry. Her hands tightened around the bowl. She stood up and left the food behind. The men followed. She walked faster. She turned suddenly into an alley. Nothing. She breathed out. Then a voice spoke behind her. "You move like someone who listens." Lena turned around. A woman stood there. Plain clothes. Calm eyes. "Who are you?" Lena asked. "Someone who wants to keep you alive," the woman said. My name is Agent Moore. Lena laughed bitterly. Funny way to show it. Agent Moore held up a badge. We know what you heard, Moore said. And we know they want you gone. Lena stepped back. I don't know anything, she said. Moore shook her head. You know enough. Back at the hospital, the general met with one person he still trusted. An old friend from the military. We have a problem, the general said. Someone inside is cleaning house. The friend nodded. They already deleted street cameras. Then we use what they can't erase, the general replied. People, his friend said. Truth, the general corrected. That night, Lena sat in a small safe room. A locked door. A clean bed. She did not sleep. Agent Moore sat across from her. You can help us, Moore said. You can stop something very bad. Lena looked down at her hands. I tried to help once, she said quietly. It destroyed my life. Moore leaned forward. And you survived. Silence filled the room. Lena looked up. Outside, a black car passed slowly. Inside, two men listened to a call. She's secured, one voice said. The other voice replied. Then we speed things up. The room was small and quiet. One table, two chairs, one light above them. Lena sat on one side of the table. Her hands rested on her knees. She stayed alert. Across the room, the door opened slowly. General Marcus Hale walked in. He looked different now. No uniform, no medals, just an old man with tired eyes. For a moment, they stared at each other. Neither spoke. The general broke the silence first. You saved my life, he said. Lena looked away. I warned you, she replied. That's all. He sat down slowly. Most people walk past me, he said. You didn't. Lena's voice was calm but sharp. Most people don't listen. The general nodded. I learned that too late. Agent Moore stood near the door, watching. The general leaned forward. Tell me what you heard, he said. Lena took a deep breath. She closed her eyes for a moment. I was sitting near the wall, she began. Two men stood by a black car. They thought no one mattered. Her voice stayed steady. They said you knew too much. They said the night would end you. The general's jaw tightened. Did they say names? He asked. No, Lena said. But they spoke like it was already decided. Silence returned. The general stood up and walked to the window. They tried before, he said quietly. Files disappeared. People stopped calling me back. He turned toward her. You stopped the final step. Lena shook her head. I didn't stop anything. I just heard. That's how it starts, the general said. Lena looked at him closely now. Why should I trust you? She asked. You wear power. Power never protected me. The general did not argue. He sat back down. I failed people, he said. I know that. That surprised her. He continued. I saw corruption growing. I prepared evidence. He paused. And then they came for me. Lena crossed her arms. I lost everything once because I spoke, she said. I won't do it again. Agent Moore stepped forward. This time is different, Moore said. You won't be alone. Lena laughed softly. I was never alone, she said. I had the street. The general looked at her with respect. You survived something the system broke, he said, and you still chose to help. He reached into his coat and placed a small device on the table. A recorder, he said. Protected. Hidden. Lena stayed at it. This holds names, he continued. Money trails. Orders. Lena pushed it back. I don't want it, she said. Then help me protect it, the general replied. Before she could answer, the lights flickered. Agent Moore touched her earpiece. We have movement, she said. Footsteps echoed outside. The general stood up fast. They found us, Moore said. The door handle shook. Back exit, Moore ordered. Lena stood without panic. She had run before. This time felt different. As they moved through a narrow hallway, the general slowed. They won't kill me now, he said. They need me quiet. He looked at Lena. But you, he added, you scare them. She stopped. Why? She asked. Because you don't belong to their world, he said. And you heard the truth anyway. They reached a service door. Outside, the night waited. Moore opened the door. A black car screeched nearby. Shots rang out. They ran. Lena's heart pounded, but her mind stayed clear. They jumped into a waiting van. The door slammed shut. As the van sped away, Lena looked at the general. "This ends one way," she said. "Yes," he agreed. "With truth." She nodded slowly. For the first time in years, Lena felt something she forgot. Purpose. Behind them, a man in a dark suit watched the van disappear. He made a call. "They're together now," he said. The voice on the other end replied calmly. "Then we finish it." The van moved fast through the empty streets. Lena sat near the door, holding the seat with both hands. Every turn felt sharp. Every sound felt close. The general sat across from her, calm but focused. Agent Moore spoke quietly into her phone. "They are blocking main roads," she said. "We have minutes." The driver turned into an old warehouse area. Broken lights. Empty buildings. The van stopped. "Out," Moore said. They rushed inside an abandoned building. Cold air. Dust on the floor. The general leaned against a wall, catching his breath. "They won't stop," Lena said. "No," the general replied. "Because if I speak, they fall." He looked at her. "And if you speak," he added, "people listen." She did not answer. Agent Moore opened a laptop on a metal table. "We can send the files now," she said. "Media, judges, everyone." The general shook his head. "Not yet," he said. "They'll call it fake." Lena stepped forward. "Then let them see us," she said. Both of them looked at her. "Let them chase us," Lena continued. "They already know me." Moore frowned. "That's dangerous." "So was the street," Lena replied. Sirens grew louder. Lights flashed through broken windows. "They found us," Moore said. The general handed Lena the recorder. "Hide this," he said. She took it without fear. Footsteps rushed outside. Doors slammed. Men shouted. Moore pulled out a weapon. "Stay behind me." "No," Lena said. She walked forward into the open space. The door burst open. Men in dark clothes rushed in. One of them raised a gun. Lena raised her voice. "Stop." The room froze. The men hesitated. They had expected fear. They did not expect confidence. The general stepped beside her. "This ends tonight," he said. A voice echoed from behind. "General Hale," the man in the dark suit said. "You should have stayed silent." The man stepped into the light. Well-dressed. Calm. Smiling. "You tried to kill me," the general said. "No," the man replied. "I tried to protect the system." "The system that broke people like her?" the general asked. The man shrugged. "Casualties." Lena stepped forward. "You thought no one would hear," she said. "But I did." The man laughed. "No one will believe you." Lena pressed a button. Screens around the warehouse lit up. Live stream. Phones across the city buzzed. Agent Moore had already sent it. The general spoke clearly now. "Names. Dates. Orders." The man in the suit stepped back. "You don't understand what you're doing," he said. The general replied. "I finally do." Police sirens grew closer. Real police. Not theirs. The man tried to run. Officers tackled him. Handcuffs clicked shut. Lena watched without emotion. She had seen worse escapes on the street. Later, as dawn broke, Lena sat on the steps outside. The general joined her. "It's over," he said. "For them," she replied. He nodded. "You will be protected now," he said. "Home. Support." Lena looked at the sky. "I don't need protection," she said. "I need truth." The general smiled. "And you gave it to us." News vans arrived. Cameras turned. Lena stood up and walked away. She had done her part. Behind her, power finally answered to justice. Morning came slowly. The city looked different in daylight. Cleaner. Quieter. Lena walked down the same street where everything began. Cars still passed. People still hurried. But something had changed. Some people looked at her now. Not past her. At her. News screens and shop windows played the same story again and again. A four-star general. A secret plot. A homeless woman who stopped it. They did not show her face. But they spoke her name. Lena. She stopped near the broken wall where she once sat alone. She touched it gently. For years, this place had been her home. Her shield. Her classroom. A police car slowed nearby. Then stopped. An officer stepped out. Lena tensed for a moment. Old habits. But the officer smiled. He said softly, You're safe now. She nodded. Across town, General Marcus Hale stood in front of cameras. His voice was steady. I stayed silent when I should have spoken, he said. But one woman reminded me what courage looks like. He paused. She had nothing to gain, he continued, and everything to lose. People listened. They believed. That afternoon, Lena sat in a quiet office. Sunlight came through the window. Agent Moore sat across from her. There's paperwork, Moore said. Housing. Support. A clean start. Lena looked at the papers but did not touch them. I don't need a favor, Lena said. I need my name back. Moore nodded. And you will have it. A few days later, Lena stood in front of a mirror. Clean clothes. New shoes. She barely recognized herself. Not because of the clothes. Because of the way she stood. Straight. Strong. That night, Lena walked past the shelter. She went inside. People sat quietly, tired and unseen. She knew their faces. Their stories. She sat among them. She listened. Just like before. Weeks passed. The men in suits were gone. Trials began. Truth stayed. One afternoon, Lena received a letter. Inside was a simple note from the general. You reminded me why I took my oath. Thank you for not staying silent. She folded the letter carefully. Then she did something she had never done before. She smiled. Months later, Lena stood at a bus stop. A young woman stood beside her, crying softly. Lena did not ask questions. She just listened. When the bus arrived, the young woman whispered, "Thank you for seeing me." Lena nodded. As the bus pulled away, Lena looked at the city one last time. The same city that ignored her. The same city that tried to erase her. She walked forward, not as a ghost, not as a shadow, but as a woman who was heard. The street was still loud, but Lena was no longer silent. Final line. They told her to stay quiet. But silence was never her weakness. It was her power.